Okay, so chances are if you're watching this video, you got a little overzealous like me, went out and bought the GoPro HD Hero. Me, I did it for underwater purposes, and then I found out that unfortunately it does amazing otherwise, but underwater not so much. So this is a do-it-yourself video on how to actually fix the lens so that it is actually in focus underwater, so that you truly are getting the 1080p that it advertises and not the unfocused piece of crap that you actually get. So obviously you will need the case. This is a Philips Event baby bottle. This is actually what you're going to be using as the cap right there. You need a UV light filter, doesn't matter what brand, whatever you want to use. This one is a 58mm, that's the size that I suggest. You will need a black Sharpie. You will also need some sort of an X-Acto knife or some sort of hobby knife that you can actually trim this piece down when you need to. You will need some sandpaper to finish the edges off. Doesn't matter what you get, it'll all work good. You'll need some epoxy. I use the 1 minute setting from Loctite. It seems to do a fairly good job. And then you also need some sort of little saw or a hacksaw. All of these things right here you can get at your local hardware store. The lens, probably need to pick that up from a camera shop. You know, Sharpie and the bottle you can get at just about any grocery store. And then obviously your GoPro you either have or you've got it from online or like Best Buy. Alright, so first thing you're going to do, take the bottle out of the contents right there. So you're going to have like 4 pieces with it. And these are the pieces you need. You can basically discard all of that. This is the piece that you need right here. And what happens is if you take a look at it, we put that basically right there, and it's not an exact fit, so that's what you're going to need the knife for, is that so that it fits snugly and then fits down on top. Alright, so after you've done modifying it, as you can see it's not perfectly aligned, but just to show you how little it actually is, those are all the little shavings that I've used from the knife. And when you put it on, it should be fairly snug. I mean, it basically feels like it should be there. It snaps on and it's not going anywhere. So this is the first part of the modification. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do is, after you've done that and you've smoothed out the inside, well, you can do that an hour later. You look on here, there is a little groove, kind of hard to see on here, but you're basically going to, that's your line to cut with your hacksaw. Cut right there. So after you've cut it in half, you're going to have 2 pieces. This is the piece that you're going to use, the part that we shaved out the inside for. The other side, you can basically just toss it. As you can see, the inside is very, very rough. So we need to have this as absolutely smooth as possible. So that's where our sandpaper is going to come into play. Okay, so after you've used sandpaper, and literally that is all of the sandpaper I used. And you want to get the edges to be as smooth and clean as possible, because when you actually glue the lens onto it, you want it to be pretty tight. So an easy way to do it is to put it along the table and then see if you can see like any light as you're turning it around. If you do, you can tell that it's uneven and you might need to like sand that part down. But for right now, after you get that done, you're going to take your Sharpie and you are going to darken out, you're going to black out the inside of this. Okay, so after you've blackened out the inside, I did about 3 passes with the Sharpie there. I let it dry and then did it again, because main thing is you want that to be as black as possible so that you don't get the reflection from the white back on the inside. So next thing we're going to do is get our lens. This one was 58 millimeters, and the reason I went with this one is because of how close it actually fits all the way around to how that looks. If you use a different bottle than the one that I used in this video, you may have to remeasure and get a different UV filter lens. But we're just checking to make sure that everything is actually fitting, and it looks like it's going to fit perfectly. Alright, so after you get the lens measured, you are going to epoxy the piece of the bottle that we got onto the cage itself. So like I said, the stuff that I was using was the Loctite epoxy. Sets in about a minute, so you don't have very long. So just make sure that around each side it looks like everything is covered and that there are no empty spots. You can probably dunk it in water at this point just to make sure that there are no spots. You want to make sure that there's no water coming in through here, because this needs to be watertight. There can't be any water in there after we're done. Final step, making sure that it is epoxied on, and then all the way around. You want to make sure that there are no places for air to get in anywhere. It doesn't look the prettiest thing in the world, but it gets the job done. And at the end of it, you will have something that actually has a good picture quality on it, underwater as well as out of water.